Did this place become a shelter for poor kids? Boss snaps, seeing Maid's daughter at the mansion. Lucas's hand, the owner of the mansion, clamped down on Mackenzie's arm, Genesis's daughter, like an iron vice. The girl tried to pull free, frightened, eyes wide, chest seized by the shock. "Let go of my daughter, please let her go." Genesis, the housekeeper, shouted. "Did this place turn into a shelter for miserable kids?" Lucas snarled with contempt. He crossed the living room, dragging Mackenzie down the hallway to the yard, while quick footsteps from curious staff began to gather near the lawn. "Don't do this, I'm begging you. She was only waiting for me," Genesis pleaded. "Shut up and don't make me repeat myself, because today I don't have patience for backtalk from the help," Lucas cut in, ice cold. Lucas's forearm shoved Genesis in the chest when she tried to reach for her daughter, and her body hit the garden path, dirt smearing her clothes, her head spinning from the impact. "Do whatever you want to me, just don't hurt my little girl," Genesis begged, voice shaking. "One more word and I'll dump you at the gate today with nothing, you hear me? Nothing," Lucas threatened, furious. Derek, the elderly gardener, watched in silence from a distance. His soil-stained hands trembled slightly, and his gaze fixed on Mackenzie as if he could hug her from afar without anyone noticing. "What a lovely show, right when I needed to distract this idle crowd," said Angela, Lucas's wife, dripping irony. "Grant, stop pretending this has nothing to do with you and bring everyone out here. I want every pair of eyes on this," Angela ordered, impatient. Footsteps scattered across the garden, people appearing along the side of the house, drawn by Angela's mocking tone and by Lucas already pointing his phone at Mackenzie. "Everyone to the lawn now, no exceptions. The lady of the house said so," announced Grant, the chauffeur, voice tense. "Listen up. Anyone who opens their mouth to defend Genesis, I'll cut your pay without thinking twice and without a shred of remorse," Angela declared with cruelty. Spencer, the butler, stepped forward, adjusting his gloves, alert to Angela's slightest gesture, posture rigid, awaiting an order. "Spencer, knock over the girl's backpack, dump her junk out on the ground and make her pick it up one by one," Angela said cold. "As you wish, ma'am," Spencer answered, indifferent. He walked up to Mackenzie and yanked the backpack strap in one sharp motion. The girl tried to hold it with both hands, clutching hard and shaking her head no. "No, it's mine. Let go," Mackenzie pleaded, voice choked. "Drop it, you insolent little thing. You don't call the shots here," Spencer said with disdain. He squeezed the girl's arm hard to rip the bag away, making her let go from the pain. The force of the pull made Mackenzie stumble a step forward, almost falling. Then Spencer opened the backpack and flipped it on purpose, scattering the girl's notebooks, pencils, and toys across the ground. The silence in the garden grew heavy, every eye locked on the scene. "Look straight at the camera, because I want this lesson in pecking order on record, for when anyone forgets who's in charge here," Lucas said with contempt. "I was just waiting for my mom. I didn't do anything wrong," Mackenzie murmured, voice thick. Genesis tried to stand to help her daughter, but Angela stepped forward and raised an arm, blocking her path with a brusque motion. Genesis froze, feeling the scorn written on her employer's face. "No one touches anything until I say so, least of all you, who should be grateful you sleep under this roof," Angela said, full of disdain. "Please, don't expose my daughter. I've worked here so long, I clean every corner of this house. Let me at least gather her things," Genesis begged, dignity stung. "On your knees, little girl, and learn to pick up what's yours. There are no fairy godmothers here. There are rules," Lucas said, arrogant. Mackenzie slowly sank to her knees, picking up her notebooks with trembling fingers, each sheet feeling heavier than the backpack itself. Around her, eyes darted away, and the garden, so big, suddenly felt too small to contain so much humiliation. "Genesis, keep calm. I'll figure this out. Don't say anything now," Grant whispered, guilty. "You're the driver, not her attorney. Save your solidarity for your off hours," Angela cut back, venomous. Derek squeezed the pruning shear handle until his knuckles went white. He wanted to step in to defend the girl, but fear of losing his job pinned him in place. "Class dismissed. For now, everyone get back to work remembering that mercy here is a luxury, not the rule," Lucas said, frosty. When the yard emptied, Genesis rose slowly, brushing dirt from her clothes, and hugged Mackenzie, who was still putting a crushed toy back in her backpack, trying to smooth the faded ribbon back to whole. "I promise you, this won't happen again, sweetheart." "I swear it on everything I have," Genesis said, voice breaking. "Is he going to make us leave?" Mackenzie asked, scared. "As long as I'm breathing, no one is throwing you out of anywhere," Genesis said, steady. Night fell, and every sound in the house felt like a warning. Genesis counted steps, memorized routes, and a plan took shape inside her. She needed to get Lucas's phone because that recording held her daughter's humiliation, and as long as he had it, Mackenzie would never be safe. "Sleep a bit, baby. I'm going to take care of what needs to be done and I'll be right back," Genesis whispered, gentle. She walked barefoot down the hallway to the office, careful to avoid the spots that creaked. "Where's that phone? It has to be here," Genesis murmured, urgent. The drawer opened with a squeak, and between papers, she saw the phone. Her heart pounded as she grabbed it. "I got it. I got this out of here," Genesis whispered, relieved. "Who gave you permission to touch what's mine?" Lucas asked, voice like ice. "I only wanted to erase the video of my daughter. Please, I wasn't stealing anything, I was just trying to protect her," Genesis implored, voice trembling. His answer showed no mercy. He grabbed Genesis by the hair and yanked hard, throwing her to the carpet. The phone slipped from her hand and skittered back to the desk. "If you keep up this rebellion, I'll hand your girl over to Child Protective Services and say you abandoned her," Lucas said, cruel. Angela came closer, folding her arms beside her husband, and shot Genesis a frigid look. "I've already called people I know at the precinct. If you don't obey, your daughter will be in a shelter by tonight," Angela added, cold as stone. Genesis trembled, air leaving her chest. "Leave my daughter out of this, I beg you," Genesis said, desperate. "Then get up and put the phone back. Learn to say yes when I speak," Angela said, dripping scorn. "And remember this well, you don't leave this house without our permission, and if you try to tell anyone, you and your daughter will pay dearly," Lucas threatened, voice like a blade. When the door closed behind them, Genesis collapsed into the silence. She knew obeying meant losing her daughter. Only disobeying gave her a chance to save her. "Grant, pick up, please, pick up. I need you right now," Genesis whispered into the phone, urgent. "What happened?" Grant asked, alarmed. "I need to get out of here with my daughter tonight. Help me run. I can't wait one more day," Genesis begged, frantic. "You know what you're asking. They don't forgive, but I can't sleep after what I saw. Tell me where you are," Grant answered, voice shaking. Genesis took Mackenzie's hand in the dark. Every step toward the side door measured like the floor might open up. In the garden's shadow, Derek was waiting by the service gate, pretending to tidy tools. When he saw them approach, he lifted his face and whispered, barely a thread of voice. "This way. Quick." "No one will notice if you slip out through this door," Derek said, careful. Just then, headlights turned the corner. Grant jumped out, looking all around before opening the back door. "Quick, get in. I didn't bring my own car. I called in a favor, so there's no trail. Buckle up and keep your heads down," Grant said, urgent. The car moved through the night like the street was a tunnel with no end, and Mackenzie fell asleep from exhaustion in her mother's lap, while Genesis took turns praying and planning in the same breath. "My sister will take you in without questions. You'll stay there a few days while I figure out how to get you out of this web," Grant said, hopeful but cautious. "You risked everything for us. I'll never forget it. May God protect your home tonight," Genesis said, voice tight with emotion. By morning, the mansion woke to a hole in Lucas's playbook of control. He scrubbed through the cameras and pieced the escape together, anger spiking like a fever that gave orders before thought. "Spencer, find that traitor driver's car and torch it. I want to send a message everyone can read," Lucas said, seething. "It'll be done, sir," Spencer answered, rigid. Minutes later, Spencer slipped out the side of the mansion carrying a gas can. He went to where Grant's car was parked and doused the body with the liquid. Then he struck a match and tossed it without hesitation. Flames licked the hood, and the stink of burning rubber traveled like breaking news, leaving in the air a signature of warning that didn't need words. That night, strange footsteps circled Grant's family home. Shadows stopped at the gate, and in silence slid a note under the door. On the paper, a sketch of a car in ashes and a short sentence. "Go back to where you get paid and forget what you saw, because what's burned once can burn again." The next day, Grant crossed the mansion's lawn with slumped shoulders and sunken eyes, each step an apology. "You thought you could defy me and keep your head up, but now you're going to prove you know your place. Swear silence, here and now," Lucas demanded, voice of stone. "I swear I won't say a word." "I swear on everything I love. Just don't go near my family," Grant said, voice shattered. "I believe oaths when they come with fear, so make sure the fear doesn't run out," Lucas said, cold. Far away, Genesis tucked the blanket around Mackenzie and listened to the quiet of the house that had taken them in. In that quiet, she felt both the temporary safety and the price others were already paying to protect them. She closed her eyes only to promise herself she wasn't done yet. The sun hadn't even touched the window when the phone Genesis carried buzzed in her pocket, and the memory of Grant's car on fire rolled through her like thunder, pushing back the determination she'd sworn the night before. "Where are we going now, Mom?" Mackenzie asked, breathing fast. "We're going to talk to a neighbor around here. They said she works at a newspaper. Maybe she'll hear us and help us be heard," Genesis said, hope carefully measured. The living room door opened, and the homeowner appeared with a cup in her hands. She met Genesis's eyes and spoke softly. "Talk to her. She's good people, and she'll listen." Genesis nodded and crossed the street holding Mackenzie's hand. On the other side, an older woman was watering plants along a makeshift clothesline. When she noticed them, she dried her hands on her apron and introduced herself. "You're the Genesis Grant told me about, right? I'm Karen, and I work at the paper." "Come in and tell me everything word for word," Karen said, urgently moved. "I don't want to bring trouble to your door, but I can't swallow what they did to my daughter anymore," Genesis said, voice trembling and brave. "Trouble is staying quiet and watching injustice continue. Speak, I'll take this straight to my editor," Karen said, resolute. Genesis took a deep breath and poured out a story with details that burned. "He filmed everything to humiliate us, and now he's keeping that recording as a threat. As long as he has it, my daughter will live under it," Genesis said, anger contained. "I'm calling my editor right now. He needs to hear this today," Karen said in a hurry. "If I have to show my face, I will. But don't expose Mackenzie, please. Don't let them near her again," Genesis asked, fearful and firm. "I'm not throwing you into a fire without protection, I promise." "Come with me to the newsroom and we'll talk behind closed doors," Karen said, gentle. At the paper's plain desk, the editor listened in silence while Genesis spoke. He jotted dates, confirmed names, and asked quick questions so no detail would slip. "I'll check sources, but if this moves forward, the noise will be loud," said the editor, Arthur, sober. Karen squeezed Genesis's hand and gathered the papers in a rush. Across town, Angela spread her rehearsed smile and prepared a press conference. "Bring the cameras. Today the only thing suffering here is somebody else's lie, not me," she said, icy. "I've already cut the video. I only left the parts where the girl is smiling. It'll look like we took her in," Lucas added, cold. Moments later, Angela posed confidently in front of the cameras, showing images carefully picked. "She's like family to me. We took care of her out of affection, not obligation. Now she runs and makes up stories, she declared with fake sweetness. This video shows no one hurt her. Look how calm and safe she is. The mother, though, unstable, Lucas said, cynical. By late afternoon, the first article came out calling Genesis ungrateful and unbalanced. She read it with Mackenzie by her side, face burning. "Why are they lying about us, Mom?" Mackenzie asked, voice breaking. "Because they hide the truth behind pretty words, but sooner or later everyone sees," Genesis said, tender. "I'm calling the editor now to show him they're manipulating things. He needs your side," Karen said, indignant. "Thank you, Karen. Meanwhile, I'm going to the police station with Grant. Even if I have to shout at the front desk until someone hears me, I'm filing a report," Genesis said, resolute. At the precinct, Genesis and Grant stood at the counter. The desk officer lifted his eyes slowly. "What's the reason for your report?" the officer asked. "I want to report abuse and threats against me and my daughter. I want it in writing, with the time and the name of whoever took my statement," Genesis said, firm. "Do you have witnesses?" the officer asked, skeptical. "I saw everything and can testify. If that's not enough, others saw it too, even if they're afraid to talk." "But I'm not leaving without a case number," Genesis replied without hesitation. "I confirm what I saw. I was there and I'll sign. I only asked for protection for my family because they've already been circling my house," Grant said, tense. The officer looked at his superior, who walked up to the desk. "File the report and prepare a summons for the mansion. It goes out today," the superior ordered. "Yes, sir." "We'll also send an inspection team to check on the child's situation," the officer added. As the stamp hit the report, news reached the mansion fast. There would be a summons and an inspection. Angela slammed the bedroom door and turned on her husband. "Did you hear? They're coming in here to search. I'm not going to let a bunch of cops boss me around inside my house," Angela said, trying to hide panic behind fury. "I don't lose in advance. I buy what needs buying. I've already spoken to a doctor who'll prep a report accusing that woman of being unstable and negligent," Lucas said, frigid. "Then do it now and do it right. If that inspection finds anything wrong, I'll make sure whoever failed pays," Angela said, voice threatening. "A technical report, persuasive wording, an official stamp. That's what you're after, isn't it?" the doctor asked. "I want paper that fools a judge and shuts up the press. I'm paying for that," Lucas said. "And I don't tolerate mistakes. If that document looks flimsy, you'll regret it," Angela finished. The day of the hearing arrived, taut as a pulled rope. The courtroom was thick with tension. On one side, the fake report, its harsh phrasing written to accuse Genesis. On the other, Genesis and Mackenzie hand in hand, armed with nothing but courage. According to the opinion, the mother shows emotional instability and neglect of the minor. "Preventive removal is recommended," Lucas's attorney said. "Look at my daughter's arms. Look at the redness left when Spencer grabbed her hard in the garden. I'm asking for an exam right now here in front of everyone," Genesis said, urgency raw. "Call someone to examine the girl now," the judge said. Mackenzie slowly rolled up her sleeve. The red marks were exposed, and the room fell silent. "These marks are consistent with the account. I recommend they be entered into the record," the evaluator said. "You're twisting everything over a detail that means nothing. This is a farce," Lucas said, irritation barely contained. "The court orders the child remain with her mother and that the accused be taken into custody under escort, detained provisionally until further ruling," declared the judge. Outside, microphones stretched forward like eager hands, and Mackenzie's small, shy smile, clinging to her mother's arm, became a headline that, for a brief moment, put the word heroine next to Genesis's name. "Today, you witnessed a mother's courage not to be silenced. I hope you ask why they tried to silence her," Karen said, proud. For a few days, the mansion's silence seemed to swallow its own footsteps, until every TV lit up with Lucas's face again, no handcuffs, hair perfectly combed, voice measured, and the blow came dressed in calm. I was released for lack of evidence, and I bring witnesses who confirm that woman staged everything to take what's mine, Lucas said, feigning serenity. I have former staff who saw her manipulative behavior up close, Angela said, voice poisonous. I confirmed that she asked for help to run, that she said she'd come back with reporters, that she wanted to ruin the house. Forgive me, I'm only repeating what I heard, Grant said on the recording, voice broken, eyes down. He's scared. That's not his heart speaking. That's a rope around his neck, Genesis said in pain. How do they flip everything like this, Mom? Mackenzie asked, eyes brimming. Because they lie without shame and have powerful people on their side. But the truth doesn't disappear. It always comes back, Genesis said, firm and loving. On the other side of the mansion wall, Derek pulled a phone from his pocket and called Genesis. I need to talk to you. It's important, he said quietly. Genesis met Derek later in a discreet spot near the garden. He looked around before speaking. Lucas set a meeting with a cop. I heard him say he's paying to make documents from the investigation disappear. It'll be in the shed where they keep the yard equipment, Derek said, fear and courage mixed. I'll get close, stay hidden, and record. I won't expose you, but I need that on tape to breathe again, Genesis said. It's risky for you to get near. Better I leave one of my phones hidden inside the toolbox. After they leave, I'll get it and hand it to you, Derek explained calmly. At the agreed time, Genesis waited from a distance, never approaching the shed. Derek walked in like it was just another task, set the toolbox down, and walked out without drawing attention. The phone kept recording in silence. When the hour came, Lucas walked into the shed with a man in a plain uniform. They spoke in low voices for a few minutes, then left the same way, noticing nothing different about the place. Only then, with the space empty, Derek came back, grabbed the toolbox, and took out the hidden phone. With steady steps, he walked to the drop spot and handed the device to Genesis. Here it is, now we listen together, he said, passing her the phone. Genesis took a deep breath before pressing play. The sound was low, but every word landed like a sentence. I want the inspection papers out of the file, got it? I'll pay now, and you tell me what it costs to make the rest disappear, Lucas said, hushed. I can pull it from the system and make it look like an administrative error, but there's a price and a risk, the dirty cop replied. The risk is mine, the price is yours, and my money never fails, Lucas said, smug. I need an advance. Without it, I'm not moving. The cop shot back. The sound of bills being counted rustled, and then the cop's firm voice returned. All right, consider it done. The audio ended, and the silence between them grew heavy. Genesis pressed the phone to her chest, breath quickening. You saved my daughter without her even knowing. Now we have proof no one can deny, Genesis said, grateful. Karen received the phone, copied the file, and sent it anonymously. By the next day, the audio was in every newsroom, crisp with the sound of money being counted and promises whispered by people who pretended to have morals. Headlines screamed, radio hosts stumbled for a beat, and the mansion door took its first real hit. Warrants, handcuffs, and pride crumbling. You're under arrest for fraud and obstruction. Come quietly, said the lead agent, authoritative. This is persecution. You'll regret this, Angela said, panic finally showing. I follow orders, and the order now is your arrest, the agent replied, firm. Spencer, don't leave me alone. Say something, do something, Angela cried, afraid. I only did what I was told. I didn't think where it would lead, Spencer said, voice wavering as he was restrained. Hours later, Grant went to find Genesis. On his knees, he couldn't meet her eyes. Forgive me. I spoke against you because they threatened my family. I betrayed you and your daughter, he said, voice shattered. Get up. If you want to make it right, protect the people you love and the ones who have no defense. Genesis answered, firm. I'll testify the right way. I'll tell everything, Grant promised. Days later, the ruling came. The mansion would be seized and turned into a shelter. At the door, everyday people applauded. This is so no child is ever humiliated here again, Genesis said, moved. Thank you for everything, Mom, Mackenzie said in tears. In the end came suspensions, provisional arrests, and a line of explanations, meeting for the first time the weight of their own humiliation. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, give it a like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you in the next story.